shutdown is entering its 5th week. 1 million federal workers are getting checks for $0.00. Everything's going to get worse that they're involved in as they're forced to not work or how they work and all the pressure that they're under now because of the financial stress that there was no need for. And no, they don't qualify for unemployment. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, they're collecting unemployment this whole. That's BS, okay? And even if they get back pay, it's not going to be for weeks. And many of these people were living check to check. So what does that tell you? How are they going to feed themselves? I'll tell you how they won't feed themselves. SNAP and WIC, what we used to call food stamps, because it runs out, the funding for that, on November 1st. How many people you think need that? You know, this is one of the great American blind spots, right? Because when you look around, so many of us are so fat, you figure that one problem we don't have here is food, right? Did you know that close to 50 million Americans need help to escape hunger? How shameful is that? The only thing that's more shameful than that need in the richest country in the world is that these people can't make enough to support themselves and not be food sensitive, which is the PC way of saying in hunger. The only thing that may be worse than that, the reality, is this surreality of political division. This is all being done just for advantage. Nothing's going to change. Even though the Democrats are fighting the right fight, as I'll explain in a second when it comes to health care, they're not going to get it changed to open up the government. It's not going to happen any more than the Republicans, the MAGA guys, got funding for the wall in the first, which had been the longest shutdown until maybe this one. We'll see what happens. They didn't get the funding from the wall out of that. This is just a stunt. But everybody is paying for this stunt. The situation is so dire that the private sector has had to step up. DoorDash is offering 1 million free meals for people on food stamps when their SNAP benefits disappear. You know, I mean, look, it's nice of them to do it. Corporations should step up in this society. They make so much money. But, you know, this is not a real fix. And if you think the shutdown doesn't matter because you're not a federal employee or you're fortunate enough to not be in poverty, well, hold on, because you're about to feel the bite in a record way, or at least a record number of Americans are. Because on November 1st, it's not just SNAP that runs out. That's when ACA open enrollment starts. 22 million are going to see major premium hikes because of exactly what started this shutdown for Democrats, the subsidies. MAGA is great at dumping on Obamacare, but they stink at doing anything better to replace it. They haven't fixed what was wrong with it because they want to repeal and replace, right? Remember 70-something times they tried that? So they've never improved it. They've never worked with Democrats to fix what needed to be fixed with the ACA, just like every other big program the government ever started. They take tweaks, right? You need to switch and fix. They don't want to do it. So, as a result, MAGA folk, people who voted for better, are about to get worse, and they're going to pay as much or more than their perceived opponents. Because the real enemy here is not right and left, it's green. It's corporate greed. And that's what has the influence over these lawmakers, which would put them in a position where they would rather have you pay a price than for them to stop getting paid by those donors. That's what this is about. Okay? In Kentucky, here's some examples. You're a 60-year-old couple making 85 grand, okay? $23,000 increase in their premiums. Illinois, same couple, $23,000. New Jersey, Republicans want to win it, right? Yeah, good luck. Additional $20,000. Now, I'm going to help you with a couple of things that are out there that are just not true about this situation. But there's still many of you who are like, I don't use the ACA. I get it through my employer. Okay, that's how most Americans do. You don't think our premiums are going up because of the same market pressures and the same problems and the same largesse by these companies? You're wrong. We're all going to see increases, okay? These guys are just like the canary in the coal mine because the subsidies are being screwed with, so we're going to see the economics play out sooner. So let's stick to the facts, okay? Not these farcical ideas that politicians are using to distract you. oh, the Democrats are saying they want to fix the subsidies. They're the ones who set the expiration date. They set the date for these to expire next year. So I don't know why they want to deal with it now. And they're the ones who wanted them to end. That is a specious argument. Another way of saying BS. Anyone who says that is playing gotcha and playing you for a fool. Anybody who is in this business of information must do a little Google search and see the only reason the subsidies are temporary is because they had to be made temporary in order to get them through the little budgeting loophole of reconciliation that the Democrats used. They had to be limited in duration. The Democrats always wanted them to be permanent. The Republicans didn't want these at all and didn't want them to be permanent, even though their own people need them. Democrats have tried to make them permanent, and MAGA has resisted. And now you will see the reality. MAGA's own people in places that voted for them, and voted for them the most, are going to see some of the biggest hikes. I know it seems like this is about right versus left, and this is about giving free care to illegals. I'll deal with that in a second because it's just a straight up lie. But it's not about right and left. It's about right and wrong and who this government is designed to serve. And right now it serves the few, and it hurts the many. On every level, those who need help to get health care, to get food, to get paid as federal workers, the MAGA folk are going to suffer right along with the left. We are all in it together. And what pisses me off is that the people who are aggrieved, who are so angry, you share so much in terms of why you're angry and who is to blame and what needs to change. But you have been kept from each other just because of these stupid parties and what works for them. I'm telling you, the reality of this division is not what it seems like on social media and everywhere in the media. Why? Because the division is manufactured for advantage. Americans don't hate each other the way you see on the news. Democratic states, Maryland, Hawaii, Virginia, they're all affected by this. Republican states, West Virginia, Alaska, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah. They're all states that have high percentages of populations working for the federal government. And that means they have high population of people who are hurting. And these lawmakers know it. Alabama Republican senators, Britton Tuberville. You got 40,000 federal workers. You've seen a 200% increase in your people needing the ACA and enrolling in it. So you can say this is all about funding illegals, but that's BS. That's BS. And you're hurting your own people. Okay? And let me tell you what you're both proof of. I'll tell you what should be illegal, not people. Shutdowns should be illegal. And I'm talking to you in Utah, Republican senators, Mike Lee, John Curtis. You got 34,000 federal workers who are taking a beating right now because of you. A 100% increase in ACA enrollment. Your own people need these subsidies. Senator Lee can't run his mouth enough on Twitter, right? He gets involved in all these controversies. Run your mouth now. Get yourself a better deal. Why don't you talk to other senators instead of talking on social media and make a deal before you bankrupt more of your constituents? Maryland, same deal. Democratic Senator Van Hollen, 145,000 federal workers in your state. And you keep voting no on the CR. Why? Because you're strong. You're standing up to Trump. Who's paying for that? Who's paying for this show? Pretend it's a guy in El Salvador and put in your best effort to get a better deal instead of just celebrating your inaction. Democrats should be more like their colleague who's doing the right thing, a real Democrat, Senator Fetterman. He's obviously aware that his duty is not to some political optics of the far fringe of his party or to social media. It's to the 66,000 federal workers. It's to the 500,000 people he has on the ACA. He hasn't gone MAGA. He just knows that causing his own people pain is no way to fix health care. This isn't going to end with them getting something on the subsidies. That's why he's voting for the Republican CR, Not because he likes it, not because he likes CRs, but because that is better than just allowing the problem to punish his constituents. Now, look, I know that people on the right are telling you that this health care thing is about keeping Democrats from giving free health care to illegals. I know. Why? Because they don't want to deal with the truth. They don't want to deal with the subsidies. They don't want you to realize this is about you. It's better for it to be about them, right? Now, look, here are the facts. Federal law doesn't allow undocumented immigrants to be eligible for Medicaid dollars, period. So then how could they get any? Two ways. One, states playing funny money and finding ways to get reimbursed for it within the legitimate reimbursement structure. That happens. That happens. The second way is that there is a reimbursement structure. Why? Because the truth is that before Trump, Republicans and Democrats agreed that states should be reimbursed for giving emergency care to anyone, legally or not legally, in the country, because they're still human beings, damn it. But now that there's this jihad against undocumented immigrants, they want you to think that this is all about the Democrats funneling them money as part of the great replacement plan. What they don't tell you is that you know who's going to get swept up in this undocumented, or illegals, you want to say? People with legitimate temporary protected status. People who the government has said can be here right now. Like the dreamers. Like migrants who survived sex trafficking on their way here. Oh, you didn't know it was those people, right? Oh, no, those people are okay. No, they're not. No, not to the right. No, they're not. That's why the right wants to reduce, not repeal. Because even they know that their posturing and their shame campaign is bogus. They know how wrong this is. And they know they are being loud about less than 1% of Medicaid funding. 1%. That's the part that goes to undocumented for reimbursement. And that's why they're trying to get you to think about that and not the ACA subsidies for tens of millions of American citizens. That's what they want to cancel. That's what it's really about. I've told you, you've heard me say, if I'm the Democrats, I give the Republicans the reimbursement issue. Here, you decide and you own what states get reimbursed to give emergency care to people. Here, go ahead. You decide the percentage, and then you own it when the states start to complain because they don't have the money. You own it. We want to fight about the subsidies for American citizens. That's what I would do if I were they. They're not doing that. But on Friday, they may have a change of heart because we may have one for the history books. Members of all military branches are going to miss a paycheck due to the government shutdown. Unbelievable. Oh, no, it's not true. Trump moved around money and he got some anonymous donor to pay the troops, this guy Mellon. First of all, it's not enough, and I can't believe they're taking that money and that there's no vetting of whom, what is Mellon involved in and what are these other things. I can't believe it. So, yes, Trump used $8 billion from one Pentagon account to pay $6.5 billion to the troops, but that leaves $1.5 billion left over. It's not enough to pay the troops. The $130 million he got is nothing. It's not enough to cover the shortfall. I'm not saying it wasn't nice of the guy to give it, although I don't know why he gave it. I don't know anything about him or what he's involved in. I think it's embarrassing that America would ever take that kind of money. But the point is, people are getting hurt, and it's all for political advantage. There is no high ground. There is nothing that's going to be solved in this. People are just going to pay. The question is, when will you demand better? Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.